Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has come to our attention that this past week, Disney leadership, along with the mayor of Anaheim, have come together separately to share their disdain for the lack of guidance that has been put forward by the governor of the state of California. Disney Parks and Resorts chairman Josh D'Amaro had a special invite-only press conference where he and several other Disney executives from across the company decided to gather together and share just what they've done to make all things Disney parks work in the last few months, as they have brought park after park around the world back online, and they've managed to do so safely. They haven't had anything traced back to them in terms of outbreaks or problems. They've managed to pull it off very well. And so Josh came out with this press conference to really indicate that it's time to reopen Disneyland. He said, we've done everything we can. We've gone to great lengths to make sure all details are taken care of and considered in this regard, and it is now time. A little bit later on, we also heard from the mayor of Anaheim. The mayor of Anaheim literally stood on a rooftop and shouted that things are a disaster in the resort area and was very passionate with his plea. Just carrying on about how frustrated he is because he feels like he hasn't gotten any sort of direction from state government. His city is now $100 million in the hole. That typically doesn't happen in Anaheim because of Disneyland. There's usually plenty of tax revenue to go around. He does not have that luxury right now. And more than anything, he was very frustrated about the businesses along Harbor Boulevard that line the outside of the Disneyland Resort, all being boarded up and not coming back. And he's very upset about that as well. A little bit later on, we heard from the president of Disneyland itself, Ken Potrock, and Ken went to the local news outlets, went to the local newspaper group, and shared with them just how frustrated he is with the lack of direction from state government, saying that Disneyland is now in limbo, and providing a statement to the news group, the Southern California news group, and sharing just how frustrated he is over the fact that they're not hearing what they need to hear to move forward. And in fact, they're not hearing anything, according to him. And this has led him to become quite vocal, which is an unusual move coming from Disney leadership. They don't typically do this. They don't typically butt heads with politics and the political realm. They'll contribute to it on both sides. That's fine because they know what they need to do for the sake of business. But they have not themselves gone to any sort of links to publicly point out anything wrong with politicians or anything like that because they're Disney and they're courteous and they don't really do that thing. But now we're seeing a total turn. We're seeing very different behavior from Disney leadership because it seems like they're fed up. And I'll say this, when it comes to the state of California and Disneyland reopening, first of all, I'm a male adult who does not need Disneyland in my life to get by. I don't need Disneyland open to feel complete inside. It's nice to have. It's a wonderful place to visit. Having said that, though, the lack of guidance since the 4th of July is when this was first indicated to be getting issued by the state of California. The guidance was going to come out then, and then continue to get kicked down the road and kicked down the road and kicked down the road. And then things changed again, and data changed, and therefore got kicked down the road. And every time our governor has been in a press conference, he gets asked by reporters, and he does those daily press conferences, much like many governors do across the country. The reporters have asked many times, what about theme parks? Are theme parks coming back? When are theme parks going to here? And in every press conference, he inevitably says, either, quote, I'm in dynamic conversations with people and those theme park leaders, or I am very, very close to issuing guidance, which was his most recent comment. But we report on this week after week. So I know what he said. And he has indicated week after week in these discussions with reporters that things are about to happen, that guidance is about to be issued every week. And it never happens. Now we look at 3 individuals coming together, the chairman of Global Disney Parks, the president of Disneyland, and the mayor of Anaheim, who all have basically said, we're not hearing anything from you. What are you talking about? This is a very bad situation to be in. I understand that the governor has had a lot to deal with in the last month with all of our wildfires and the chaos in this state. I get it. But he's been saying this since July. And in this process, hundreds of thousands of jobs are on the line.
Exactly.
People are worried about their future. They don't know what to do about their future. They are in limbo, the president of Disneyland says. They are concerned about what they need to do for their families moving forward because they don't know what the future holds. They don't know if they have a job to come back to. They don't know if they are going to be able to put food on the table. And the state unemployment office also is still not delivering on their unemployment checks.
Not just that, though, but they closed applications this week for unemployment. I believe the day that the press conferences were held or the day afterward. I myself am fortunate to work remotely. I also, I love Disneyland and I love the parks. It's like, it is my happy place, but I have the privilege to know until things get better and until strict regulations are in place, or if there's a vaccine, I have the capability to wait. And that is not the case for so many people whose livelihoods depend on Disney and Disney parks, or just the city of Anaheim, which is a city that thrives on that. While I wish we lived in a different world where, those in power could have just paid us to stay home for 8 weeks to deal with this like other countries have. That is unfortunately not the world we live in. And I feel like to have an expectation on people that maybe, some people could do like stay at home, work remotely or whatever. I hate the environment that can get so toxic about sort of shaming people who don't have that luxury.
Oh, sure.
And
Absolutely.
that goes hand in hand with what's going on with the parks because we are not in a good situation. And like you said, Wade, there are so many jobs on the line and so many livelihoods on the line that something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And whoever has the money to help the people who need the jobs, they need to do the right thing. I'm not a politician, so I'm just going
that's right. You have a soul. That's right. You aren't a politician. Yeah.
So, I am in support of, our peers and colleagues who, in our industry do depend on this as their livelihood.
It's troubling, I think, to me, because you don't need to say that the parks need to open tomorrow. I think this is the biggest concern I have. There has been nonstop misleading this entire time that there's about to be an announcement, and there hasn't been. And if you aren't comfortable with the theme parks reopening, Governor, point to the data that makes you uncomfortable and say, because of that, we're not going to open until X, Y, and Z date, or we'll revisit it at X, Y, and Z date. Throw them a bone. Give them something to look forward to or to plan for. Because right now, either people are moving back in with their parents, they don't know when their next check is coming in, or they're moving out of the state. And perhaps the other demographic is they just want to go back to the job that they love, and they don't know when they can do that. And so they can't plan their life. At this point, to mislead from July to now, I don't know what the goal is with this, to mislead. I don't know what the goal is. I don't know who he's pacifying in this, I think is my biggest concern.
Yeah.
I don't know how he wins in this situation because it's not like he's making anybody happy with the remarks other than just kicking that can a little bit more. And so you have these 3 leaders now coming and saying, we're not hearing from you at all. We don't know what you're talking about. We'd love to get some guidance because people are, for the lack of a better term, suffering out here, and the whole community, not just Disneyland itself, the whole community, a big part of Orange County, hundreds of thousands of jobs rely on Disneyland Resort being open. I want to share a commercial that comes from Reopen OC. This is a commercial from Reopen OC now that just dropped, and they are pushing the governor a little bit further.
264,000 jobs lost in the Anaheim area during COVID. They're our neighbors, our families, our close friends. It's time to responsibly reopen and get us back to work. And no one can do it better than Disneyland Resort. Anaheim is proud of the work we do and ready to roll up our sleeves and get back to it. Tell Governor Newsom to help Anaheim get back to work. Let's reopen theme parks and reawaken our region.
Governor, we hope that you step up and do the job that you are elected to do. You're here to lead. And again, I say, I understand you've had a lot to deal with recently, but the Disneyland Resort is one of your biggest single-site employers in the entire state. They're looking for some sort of guidance, some sort of detail as to how they can plan their life moving forward. I know this is all unprecedented, right? We've heard that word all year. Help them know how to be more comfortable with their future. Give them the guidance they're looking for. Step up and share with Southern California what things are going to be like moving forward.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.